So, I had this lovely idea. So I found that I play Osu, right? And you know how we've got this lovely way having our own skins in here? You can have nice little textures here. I've got nice bubbles, but I thought what would make this so much better? That's right, making my own texture. You can make your own textures based on other people's resource packs. So I thought, yeah, I'll just change it into some cursed stuff. But I thought, okay, yeah, maybe I'll just do my own nice little textures. I'll make things nice. I got a little Kirby here. I changed a little bit of the thingies to make things a bit more cursed. I thought it would look nice, just a little bit cartoony. But I thought, this isn't good enough. I wanted to get more chaotic. So what is a better way of doing this? That's right. We're going to program it to randomize our resource pack to make things as chaotic as possible. So how are we going to do this? So I'm going to kind of describe what this does and how it can function and how it can just break your game. Because sure, things can render non-functional at some points. And things will just, you won't even be able to get into certain menus. It'll just break the textures, and I think it's freaking hilarious. So here's what it does. I've got 3 functions here that you have to call in this very specific order. If you guys want the code, the GitHub repository will be in the description. You can access this. I will give some warnings about this after I describe this so you guys can see why I need a warning on this. But let's just get into this. So we have our 3 functions. Let's start off with the create data. So in our randomized files class, we've got our initializer, we've got a directory, information, file name, and current directory. The current directory runs and it just finds whatever your working directory is when you're running this file. If you're running this in the terminal, I believe that should be whatever working directory you have in the terminal. This is very important because this is where it's going to save your resource pack. The file name, this is just going to be what you're naming your resource pack. The information is going to be all the files within the resource pack you want to copy and randomize. And the directory is going to be that root path, from the root to the path. So you need that directory. That's what the initializer does. And let's go into the create data here. So create data is the first thing that you want. You want an include as well. Usually for Osu, there is only .png files. You only want to copy those over. If you've got any excess folders, you can include that in the include, but it is non-iterative, meaning you'll have to run multiple instances of this include in order to make sure that that data gets through. There's no harm doing that. It just recognizes that the file's there and it'll just add those files in. It will not overwrite whatever you've made. It just changes whatever it's swapping. This makes it so that it prevents a PNG from swapping with .exe or something like that. So it just is a safe format of that. I know there's only one other file type in these, the .ini. I think there's a couple others if you want to get really custom, but those are the 2 main ones. The ini, I believe, is just whatever, but that's what this does. So in the create data, you want the actual path. Relative, I've got this mixed up. You want the full path is what you want. So first it'll check if you've got the include. You need to include something so it knows what to copy. And what it will do is it'll basically just copy the directory and then check through every file in that directory. And what it will do is it'll write all those files into our lovely self.information. And it will grab whatever the root is of that file. It'll grab every single file name within that file. And then it will create another array with all the directories. So what I mean by this is if we go into our, let's go over here. If I go into my texture pack here, our first directory is this. This is my first directory, which you can see right here. What it will do is it'll grab every single image and store it in an array, which is what this is right here. It'll store the files in an array, and then it'll save that root directory, which is this directory right here. Then it will move into a new file. Let's say it chooses the 4K. It will then choose this as its root and then save all the PNGs here and then go into another file. Save the PNGs, so on and so forth until it has gotten every single file and array of images and whatever, well, specifically what you specified in the include. Once it's done doing that, it will have created all of the data it needs to copy the folders over. So what I mean by that is in this copy folders function, it checks the directory. This runs if you have copied your folder over with all the data. Once all that data is made, it'll grab the directory and it'll basically just create the folders. It's basically just copying your folder, but instead of copying all of these images through, it's only going to copy the folders in. They're going to be all empty, but it will keep that hierarchical sense of it. That's all this function does. And then we've got the shuffle. The shuffle is the main bit, the part that I need to give a warning on. If you decide, well, I guess this applies to everything. You need to make sure that whatever directory you are sending this through does not directly interface with the working directory you are in. If you decide to just do your desktop, and your executable is running on your desktop, like for example, this is in my test files here. If I go to my projects and I go to test files, this is my working directory. I am currently in file randomizer.py. This will be caught if I'm just doing my desktop, and it will create a file. But then that file will be detected because it was just made, and then it will grab that. That contains your entire desktop. Well, then it will iterate through that again, and it will basically be an infinite thing, and it will finally crash before it realizes, oh, this file name is really long. So it at least crashes before you blue screen, but just be wary of that. Do not run this code if you are executing this in your directory that is specified. You got to make sure that that's true. Since this is specific to my OSU folder, it should only affect this specific directory. You want to make sure that you open the folder and you don't just go to your skins. If you go to the skins, it's going to copy all of your skins. You want to make sure you are in the directory of that skin file. Now that that's out of the way, here's how the shuffle works. So the way that this works is, you see we've got Mania hit 200, 300, 300G. We've got all of the scoring little bits here. Basically, what it will do is it'll find two PNGs from two random files within this entire directory. Whether it's from 7K, lighting, no lighting, and it chooses lighting and PNG, it could choose that file and swap it with ranking B. But the catch here is that the names stay the same. The reason the names stay the same is because if they don't stay the same, the system won't pick it up and it will not display it correctly or at all. So it will rename it. Don't worry about running this code if you are thinking that your file is going to be overridden, because it will make a copy, essentially. Nothing will be overridden. If you do a copy of your operating system, you're just going to make a giant folder. And it will recursively call, since your function will most likely be in that directory, unless you are copying your D drive or something like that. Just be wary of that. That's all this function does really, though, is it just takes two files and it swaps them until every single file has been swapped. Now, it is possible that this could select itself twice. It's basically just left the same, so it's possible that some textures will be left alone, and that's completely fine, but they should be written through. That's what the swap files function does. So with all ado, let's look at this create data here, and let's actually print off what this looks like. Let's go ahead and clear that so I can easily display this. You can see that the first item, each one is an array. And then, of course, as stated earlier, you've got your directory, and you've got every single PNG within that directory. So that's all this information is holding. When we want to copy the folders, you just want to name the file that you want. I'm calling it randomized OSU skin. Let's go ahead and give that a run. And it'll then pop up in your hierarchy, and you can see it actually copies line for line. Everything looks just the way it should, and we can confirm this by going over here, and let's say we want to go to 4K LN set 2, 4K LN set 2, and that's where it stops with the files. So that's what this does, and you can see it's completely empty. It just creates empty files. That's all it does. We don't necessarily need to open all of those. But let's go ahead and collapse all of these, and then let's run the shuffle function. This is when data is starting to be manipulated and when you need to really make sure that this executed correctly. If this did not execute correctly and you've got files galore, you do not want to run this shuffle option, because it is possible that this could be wrong, and you don't want to start mutating data into a copied folder if it runs infinitely. So just be wary of that. Just do not run this until you know for sure that this function works the way you want it to. In this case, this is the way I want it. I want it to copy this skin folder, and I want it to copy the folders within. So once we know that, we can call the rf.shuffle function. You can see that we have this, and it has populated it with all of these skins. And you can see that all of the naming is the same. We've got arrow scroll, button left, button middle, PNG, button right, all the same. But you can see button right here, it doesn't seem like it wants to preview. We've got the fitness gram pacer test for Mania hit 300, which was actually our arrow scroll here for what I put. So let's see what the arrow scroll is. It seems to be the Mania hit 300, so you can see those two swapped. But the names stayed the same, so that they could display differently. And that's what makes this great. So let me go ahead and throw this into Osu and show you exactly what this would look like, because it is just amazing. It is blissful when it comes to putting this on a game, and things just go everywhere. So let me just show you that real fast. Okay, this is post-edit here. I forgot to mention something that is pretty critical if you want to copy your skins correctly. Make sure that when you go into your skins folder that you check every single type of data here. Normally for me, it's just the PNG and we've got the .ini. You want to make sure that ini goes through. One way you can do that is by just changing your include to .ini, and since there's only one of those files, it shouldn't replace it, and you can just copy it over by running it, and it will add it in, and then you can just go ahead and move that back into your Osu folder. Another way is you can just guarantee paste it in. The reason you want to do this is because earlier you saw that the notes weren't looking the way they were supposed to. Well, they're not supposed to. So you can see the 6 key earlier looked like some mess. Now it looks like something's a bit different. Now the textures seem like they're mapping in correctly, opposed to earlier where it was just regular Osu textures. I think it's just that metadata. So that's everything. Back to the video. Okay, so this is where things start looking pretty crazy. So now we can see that we can go down to our skin folder just right here. This is where things will start to look weird. Here we go. Oh boy. So you can see the cursor's just completely insane. This is amazing. I love this. Let's go ahead and hop into a solo game. Oh gosh, everything is C. Everything is C. I can't read anything. All right, well we'll just. Oh gosh. So yeah, you can just see it's insane. If we go into here, let's see how this looks. Does it work? Oh gosh. Wait, this is 6 key. Oh gosh. I can't see anything. Oh gosh. This is freaking insane. This is like true hidden mode. Yeah, you can see I can't even access like the third menu. Oh no, I can't access the other two because they're overlapped. Yeah, you can just see this is just how insane it looks. Yeah, it's just amazing. I really like it. It's pretty fun. It's a stupid thing to do, but it just makes things easy and nice and lovely, and I like it. I think you guys would like it too. So yeah, the link to the GitHub repository will be in the description if you guys want to fiddle around with this. So yeah, I'll see you guys later. Goodbye.